If you've ever had one of those nagging pains that just refuses to go away no matter how much you stretch or rest it, then you are in exactly the right place. We're about to dive into a whole new way of thinking about your body and how to build real, lasting mobility. So let's start with a question that's probably all too familiar. You've done everything right, you've rested, you've iced, you've stretched, but that same ache in your knee or your low back or your shoulder, it just keeps coming back. It's incredibly frustrating, right? It feels like you're stuck in a loop. But what if the problem isn't actually where you feel the pain? That's right. The part of your body that's screaming at you, well, it might just be the victim, taking all the blame for a problem that actually started somewhere else entirely. Think of your pain like the last clue in a detective story we're about to solve together. It's just human nature to focus on the spot that hurts. If your knee hurts, you think, I've got a knee problem. But that approach, well, it often misses the real root cause, the actual culprit. The pain you feel is just the symptom. It's the final alarm bell from a system that's been compensating for a much bigger issue for a long, long time. This quote from the prehab guys just hits the nail on the head. If we only treat the victim, that painful joint, we might get some relief for a little while, but the culprit is still out there just waiting to cause trouble again. So to find a real, lasting solution, we have to look at the entire system. So how in the world do we find this real culprit? Well, we can use this beautifully simple yet powerful model called the joint-by-joint approach. It helps us see the body as this interconnected chain, where just one stiff or weak link can cause a total breakdown somewhere else down the line. I want you to just imagine your body as a stack of joints, one sitting right on top of the other, from your feet all the way up to your head. This idea, which was really popularized by guys like physical therapist Greg Cook and Coach Mike Boyle, gives us a roadmap. It tells us that every single joint in this stack has a main job to do. And here's where it gets really, really interesting. Look at the pattern here. Our joints alternate between needing mobility, which is just the freedom to move, and stability, the ability to control that movement. So your ankle needs to be mobile, but the knee right above it, it needs to be stable. Then the hip needs mobility, and the low back above that needs stability. You see that pattern? It's like a perfect alternating system. And this is a perfect example of how that system can go wrong. Let's say your ankle, which is supposed to be a mobile joint, gets all stiff and locked up. It just can't move the way it should. So to get the job done, your body has to find that movement from somewhere else. The next joint up is the knee, a stable joint, and it gets forced to become unstable to pick up the slack. And what's the result? The knee gets overworked, it gets stressed, and eventually it gets painful. The stiff ankle was the culprit all along, and the knee, well, the knee is just the victim. Okay, so we've established that mobility is absolutely crucial. But what does that word even mean? For most of us, we hear mobility and we think of someone doing a deep stretch, right? But real functional mobility, it is so much more than that. It's an active skill, not a passive state you can just fall into. We have got to get this straight because it's the most important distinction. On one hand, you have passive flexibility. That's when something external, like gravity helping you touch your toes, or maybe a partner pushing your leg up, gets you into a certain range of motion. But active mobility, that's your ability to get into that same position and control it, using nothing but your own strength and your own nervous system. That, my friends, is the real game changer. This definition right here from Functional Range Conditioning, or FRC, is basically our North Star for this whole conversation. Mobility isn't just about having a range of motion. It's about having a usable range of motion. It's about owning that movement, having strength and control through every single inch of it. That is what makes your body resilient. So the big question is, how do we actually build this active, usable mobility? Well, it all starts by improving the conversation between your brain and your body. This isn't just about yanking on muscles. It's about learning to speak the language of your nervous system. And a system called functional range conditioning gives us the exact tools to do that. Now, the foundation of this whole practice is something called controlled articular rotations, or CARs. The easiest way to think about them is like a daily systems check for your body. You're just moving each of your joints through its biggest, slow, deliberate circle. You're scanning your body, seeing what range you actually have, and sending a really clear signal to your brain that says, hey, this territory is safe, I own this movement. You're literally creating a better, clearer map of your body for your brain to use. Okay, so once you've mapped your territory, how do you expand it? We use these techniques that sound super complex, pales and rails, but the idea behind them is actually really simple. You go to the very edge of your comfortable range. Then you gently start to create tension by pushing and pulling against something you can't move. What this does is it teaches your nervous system that this new range isn't dangerous. In fact, it's strong and it's controllable. This is how you actively and safely earn a bigger, more usable range of motion. The reason these exercises are so incredibly powerful is because they are a direct line of communication to your central nervous system. You're not just mindlessly flailing a limb around, you are actively re-educating your brain about what your body is truly capable of. And here is the science behind it all. When you actively move your joints, you wake up all these special sensors inside of them. These sensors send a flood of high-quality information up to your brain. That's the afferent feedback. Your brain takes all that data, processes it, and then sends better, smarter commands down to your muscles, and that's the efferent output. It's a powerful feedback loop. Better information in leads to better control out. It's that simple. So this is where it all comes together. On one side, you've got the mechanical map, the joint-by-joint approach, that tells you which joints need to move and which need to be stable. And on the other, you've got the training tools from FRC to communicate with the neurological system that actually controls that map. True, lasting mobility lives right at that intersection. So, if you remember one thing from all of this, let it be this: stop chasing pain. Instead of just putting a Band-Aid on the symptom, on the victim, focus on building a more robust and resilient system from the ground up. Use the joint-by-joint approach to figure out what your body needs, and then train your nervous system to control the movement you have and to earn the movement you want. At the end of the day, your body is always sending you signals. That nagging pain isn't just an annoyance, it's information. It's a message in a really complex conversation. The only question is, now that you know the language, are you listening to what your body is truly trying to tell you? Thanks for tuning in.